Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Lilu nishmas imi merosi rus pas Mordechai. A piska tova. A git Kvittle. That's it. A git Kvittle. By Meir Spira. Hi, Reb Eli. Thanks for the amazing share, especially after Yom Kippur. Don't know how you had the energy to give the full share after the long fast. I barely had energy just to listen, let alone to give a share. Kol hakavod. So first of all, I want to say, Shkoyach, thanks for the compliment, but it's a no-brainer. I think the bigger Pella, for me, I was very, very impressed with the people that came to the live share last night and those who listened to the share. For me to give a share is not a chachma. I have to. I have no choice. I have no brayer. I have a little bit of a responsibility, so it's not that big of a deal. But to come after Yom Kippur, after a fast, and to learn Torah, and to make it a yomi, where there shouldn't go a day without learning, that is very chashuv. So I think everybody should give themselves a pat on the back. Shkoyach, thank you. You mentioned that you davened at a nusach hagra minyan that started 6:30ish and finished 9:30. So yes, I spoke about this. It happened in my backyard. Somebody rented this place, paid us about $1,000 to make a minyan here. And then my son tells him he's going to this minyan. I'm like, so he's going to the minyan and I'm going to daven next door and I go with him. Yeah, it's a little quick. I heard it's a quick minyan. So I went there. And Lamaisa, I had a no. It was a very nice minyan. And then I said yesterday that perhaps we should have more of these minyanim in America. And I want to reiterate what I said yesterday. Chas v'shalom, not to take away from the minhag of Klal Yisrael, that is to daven most of the day Yom Kippur and Shul. What I was saying is, there are those who have a problem sitting and davening the entire davening. Like my son, he was 16 years old. He says it's not for him. My 12-year-old, who's never been to Shul really ever, besides on Friday nights for half the davening. He sat here for 3 hours straight. So it was a win. For those, my 16-year-old didn't move from his seat for 3 hours. Now, if it was a 6-hour minyan, he wouldn't be able to do it. Or if he thinks he can't do it. So for those kind of people, that's what I was pushing. I'm not trying to make, nobody said anything yet, but I want to, not trying to undo. So here's a guy from Lakewood. He loves it. He says, you mentioned that you daven in this hagra. You can let your listeners know that in case that's a bit too quick for them, they want something a bit slower. There's a Lakewood Yeshiva minyan that also starts around 6:45ish, and they finish Musaf at 3:45, and just have a 10-minute break, and then they continue Mincha Nila Ma'ariv and finish around 8 p.m. Basically, straight davening from 6:30 a.m. straight to 8 p.m. Besides for a 10-minute break. That's a minyan. I'll challenge you to try. Let me know what you want as a prize. Can get 1,000 new members to try out your share at the sponsor Parnas Hashana, $240,000. I'm serious about the deal. M. Spear, Lakewood, Irat Torah.
What happened?
Huh? Oh, yeah, you weren't here last night. We had a Nachum Korim. I did a Nachum Korim. There was a guy that did a full, because this is a Gra minyan, so it's a full. Also another thing. I'm not pushing for a minyan that's a fast minyan and cutting out. Here's an official, they have their own machzor, gra. It's this thick. It includes Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Both of them, I'm not kidding you. We have one of those here. That's the machzor. So you go in, Yeshal Milu Smach, you go in the gra. It does all the skipping for you. No singing, no pizmainim, no Avinu Malkeinu Rosh Hashanah, no Aresh Sefaseinu. Huh? No Nasana Taikif. It's Nusach HaGra. Nusach HaGra. A good in Kvittle Reb Eli. Firstly, Yeshakayach for the mysterious nefesh for Torah, especially prepared, and they have a bakayra like you've never heard in your life. The guy had such a chituch hadibur. Speed. No, I didn't say it's good. Menachem Atez, B-Top. Which one? No. Oh, with the story? I said it last night. Okay, let me read the email that's for Jonathan. I'm in Israel for Sukkot and would like to join the share live. Can you share address, time, and any important instructions for a live first timer? So we discussed this, but this is for people that don't listen to the emails, or for people who don't show up to share at all. And they say, how come you didn't mention the joke with the socks? I did. It's not the joke. The story of the sock. I said it even though I didn't want to say it. So anyway, the shear on Sukkos. Be'ezer Hashem, we don't know exactly how many days because somebody wants to do one in the Citadel. We'll see what happens exactly. But the shear on Sukkos starts immediately after davening's over next door. So what do we say? It's about 9:30? 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock in my house, Nachal Noam 2. Nachal Noam 2, Ramat Bet Shemesh, top floor. We have a very large sukkah. Last year we were able to fit everybody in, but now since we have tourists and everything, so whatever, you'll eat your stuff in the house somewhere. Say that. We'll start 9:30 to 10, show up. There's usually a guy making eggs and pancakes, and it's a good time, and we have wine, and it's a sukkah, and it's a beautiful piece of art that's 8 meters long, specifically for the shear, that was given to me as a gift by the shear. You got to come see it. It's an unbelievable piece of art. Has to do, I'm not going to tell you. Beautiful piece of art.
Like this one? Has to do with the bus?
It was made by that guy, but it's 1,000 times nicer.
Has to do with the bus?
It has to do with Yuvamas. No. All right, so Rabbi said yesterday, we got 500 people to sign up for the monthly giving. I'm not going to push it anymore. Just to say that you should, if you don't give, you're a terrible person. Nisim Doeg, 36. Penny Corn, 10. By the way, before I forget, we have a chassan in the house. Shalom Aleichem, Mazel Tov. What's your name?
Yisrael Yudkowski.
Yisrael, Mazel Tov. Where are you going to live?
Yerushalayim.
He came last night. He comes whenever he can. So Yishkoyach, Mazel Tov. Have a niggin for him? This guy? Oh, Yishkoyach. Rabbi said we have a very long daf, so we can't sing that much. Mendy Auerbach is responsible for bringing the chas and Yishkoyach Mendy. I'm not going to make fun of you anymore for not bringing anybody. But I will make fun of Rabbi Schoenberg. It's a new year. How many people did you bring, Rabbi Schoenberg? You keep all the people here. That's very chashuv. That is very chashuv. I like that. I'll tell you that. Good one. Good one. Hold on for that. Rabbi Schoenberg, give me a Yishkoyach for that. I need a Yishkoyach. That was beautiful. That was a nice one. Okay. Pinnicorn 10, Avram Reich 10, Sidney Legacy 36, Steven Salgo 36, Michael Cooper 10, David Planko 36, Yossi Dahari, the famous Yossi Dahari, you're going to see him in Manchester 36, Moshe Cohen 101, Neil Halpern 101, Jacob and Reba Lesh 10, Tzvi Schwartz 10, Joshua Feldman 36, Michael Lager 10, Ovaid Batat 36, Elliot Goldstein 10, Eitan Bernstein 10, Jonah Bookstein 52, Stephen Goldberg 52, Yiddi Schwartz 36, Schneider Kreiman 10. What do you want me to stop already?
Stop. When? Yes.
No, we got to hear the names. Brian Layton 52, Aaron Avadeyev 10, Shragi Chavitz 10, Lawrence Kazowski 36, A. Wasserman 10, Bernard Enreich DDS. The DDS, the dentist 10, Aaron Schwartz 101. Ethan Leichter 101, Nach Lesser 10. I got to speak to Nisano about this. We got to get good merch going here. All the people that signed up merch, maybe those who gave 101 should get a special, even a more special thing. Leslie Margulis 10, Scotto Pearl 101, Craig Pepper 36, Isaac Friedman 36, Ellie Massiel 10, Simcha Lichter 10, Leonard Browner 10, David Kessler 10, Scott Jaspen 10, Simcha Ershkovich 10, Richard Kessel 10, Bruce Kessler 10, Mayor Bar David 10, Andrew 8 10. That's it. We're getting rid of the 10 option. We're going up to 18. Moshe Shapernovich 10, Yehuda Grunbaum 10. I was joking when I said do 10. Eliezer Rosenberg 10. No, it's Givaldik. You don't understand how it's mitzdaref. It's first of all, the fact that everybody is a chabura joining together, it's tremendous. And all these 10s are mitzdaref to a lot of money. And we need, by the way, in case you missed it, we need $1 million a year. So whatever this comes in, it'll be a drop in the bucket, at least. And we're adding 2 more people that are going to increase the beauty and the quality of the shir. 2 more. 2 more full, serious salaries. Eliezer Rosenberg, I'll explain it later. Ari Gantro, 36. Okay, I'll stop. Mark Quinn 36. Shlomi Gewurtzman, 36. Fine. Rabbi Isai, here we go. We're holding like 10 lines from the bottom. Ahu Gavra, holding my story. Tzadik Aleph Amud Beis. Ahu Gavra, the Zabna Kesubos the email. Oh, sorry, sponsors. The good thing is that we don't have a Kvittle sponsor today, so we're going to be a little shorter than usual.
But there's a guy who sponsors today.
Okay, whatever. The Masechta sponsor Eli Stefansky Baruch ben Moshe Aaron Eli Stefansky Moshe Elazar ben Natan Shalom and for Hatzlacha b'chol yonim for my children. Jeff Razen zchus my son Yosef Simcha Chaim ben Torah Chana Refuah Shlaima Amen. Rest of the Masechta Ofishel Mitzva Motivators Refuah Avraham Mנשה ben Chana Brokha Refuah Shlaima and Eli Stefansky Zechrya ben Moshe. And the last day for the Lock and Lebovic families, Lakewood New Jersey, because Torah is the best segulah.
Maybe he'll renew.
Huh?
Maybe he'll renew.
Maybe. You never know with him. It's not the first time he renewed. For Shleima Yecheskel ben Leo. As zchus. By the way, somebody told me last night, this is like the 20th time I heard the story. A guy gave last month $10,000 to MDY. He wasn't sure. It was a little bit of a push for him. The next day, he made $300,000. The next day. That came out of nowhere, he says. As a zchus, that Hashem should watch over me and ensure that I'm completely healthy. I may have asked him. Try it out. Huh? Ooh, I got to call him out on that. That's a great one, Mati. If he gives the mice on that, you don't have to give anything to the monthly giving. Wow, that's a good one. By the way, did I ever say thank you to you for that $9,000 you gave us to Yeshiva World News? Yishkoyach, if I did. Yishkoyach. A year late. Shmuel Eidler on the yard side of my mother, Pasya Bracha, Bas, Reb Shmuel Akoya, and then Shama should have an Aliyah. You heard what he said? If the guy made $300,000, you should give $30,000. Really 60, because you have to give a Chaimish. Ahu Garva, the Zabna Kesubos the Ime B'Toivas Hana. There's two pshatim in Rashi, so I'll go with one pshat. The person anticipates his mother's death, and he says to somebody, I will sell you her ksuba. Now, two things could go wrong here. Either the mother will never get a ksuba because she will die before her husband. She's married to another man, not to the guy's father. Yeah, Boisai. Either she'll die before her husband, she won't get a ksuba. And even if she dies after her husband, it could be that this guy, this cheverman that's waiting for his mother to die and trying to make money off her ksuba, he himself will die before his mother. So two people could die here. Two chances that there won't be a ksuba. Therefore, he sells it for toivas hana, which always means the smallest amount possible. For a little bit of a toiva, fine. Pennies on the dollar, but a toivas hana is like for a favor. It's not even money here. But he makes a stipulation with him. If my mother comes and she doesn't like this whole thing, she finds out about this sale and she makes me take it back, I'm never paying you back. It's as is. You give me the money and that's it. As is. So it's not a Taivas Hana. Taivas Hana in this case, because the ksuba, let's say, is worth $1 million, you give him $1,000. It's a nice amount. Obviously, there's no sugi here. We're talking about a penny. So, the guy, again, the son takes money in his pocket and makes a deal with the guy that no matter what, I don't have to return the money. Shchive imei. His mother, at the end, passes away. V'loi irara. She never made a macha, so it's okay. V'asa ihu v'kama arer. This cheverman, this no goodnik kid, goes to the guy that buys the ksuba from him and says, you know what, my mother didn't say anything, but I'm saying something. And I don't want to pay you back. I'm not going to give you the ksuba and I don't want to pay you back either. So this triggered in me. We go to shul, as from people, we go to shul every day. We spend so much time davening, an hour a day, let's call it. And we do all these things. We go, we buy sroigim and lulovim and this and that. Yet, when it comes to dini maminus, a lot of us are not careful. We're not careful. The whole Aseres Yemei Tshuva leads up to Yom Kippur. And the whole Yom Kippur leads up to Ne'ilah. And what do we say in Ne'ilah? Like we're so talking about Maminus. And the Rishal Salanter says that so many people are familiar with Orach Chaim. We learn Mishnah Berurah, you have to wash Negovasser without walking Dalad Ames, you have to wear a yarmulke, you have to do this, you have to do that, and you have to wear tzitzis, and most of the things in Orach Chaim are derabbanans. If you don't wash Negovasser, okay, you're over it. But Choshen Mishpat is a Doiraisa. And here, look at this guy. This creep goes, sells his mother's ksuba, makes money off the guy, then goes back to the guy and says, you know what? I'm making macha. Said this, a frum guy, I went to a store here locally. I said this over, but it still bothers me. I went to the guy, and I bought something by weight. So I give him a 50 shekel bill, and he says, oh, we're good. I'm like, good. What was exactly 50 shekel? I didn't say anything. 50. He says, it's good. So then I asked him for the receipt, I think, and he's like, oh, I just threw it out. Fine. So I didn't like it. So I kept it, and I waited for the guy to leave. And when he left, I went back to the store, somebody else there. I asked the guy to weigh it and tell me how much I owe him. He weighed it, and it was 3 shekel less. So he rounded it off, and his 3 shekels, $1, whatever it is, he stole $1. He was over Isidor Raisa to make a buck. Literally, to make a buck. So that same guy, davened in shul, and he was crying by Ne'ilah. He's a frum guy. But to take from somebody else, to do a little shtick, that we have no problem. So we have to be careful. Rabbi, so we have to be careful. Huh? It doesn't help to cry by Ne'ilah about Ben Al-Chaver stealing from people. He does it every day. He has a scale, and this is what he does. It's passing the Torah. Okay. I don't want to be... we all know what we're talking about. The little things. A guy... Here, we're talking about Lulav and Misroigim. A guy sells an esrog. He knows that it's a puzzle. He knows that he took with the toothpick a little bit too much off the blettel, and he scraped the skin off, and it's missing. And the guy's only going to find out 2 days from now. He doesn't care. He sells him the esrog. No. This is the Raisa. The Raisa. This is not the Rabbanans. No. Your wife is something else. Your Michael, it's known. Are you saying you go to buy esrog, you know he's going to rip you off? Chas v'shalom. Nah. Okay. No, this is all over the world. This is Dvarim Sheb'chol Yom. Okay. So says the Gemara, Shchiva ima v'le'yir v'asei le'yir Sovaroim b'cham le'meimar iu b'mokim imei. Look. Says Rami Bar Chama, the guy didn't do the biggest aver in the world. He's standing in place of his mother, and his mother had the right to be ma'ar. He's being ma'ar for himself. Amalei Rava. Nihi dachrais didolei kabbalei. He said mefurish, if my mother comes and makes a macha here, that's it. You're not getting the ksuba, and I don't have to pay you back. That is true. He said so straight out. Achrayis the day miloi kabel, but his own achrayis, he never said that he's going to trick him. Let me see if there's a. I think there's a. Oh, so there's a Rashi here. Achrayis and Avshay. Let's see it inside because we have a shorter day today. Achrayis the day. Im yovayu. You have the Rashi. Im yovayu v'ya'arer dinu shi'achzu lo mo'isav. V'ni nami the choyze b'mechiris ha'karka deno l'makne dovish lo yizocha boy k'desayim mashi irash ma'aba mochalach lo yom ha'klum. If a person says whatever I'm going to inherit from my father, it's nothing. V'leidan l'goyz ha'soda u'mochra v'chazru lokchem m'balam ha'rishonim. Says Rashi, there's a case. If you steal a field from somebody and you sell it, but then you buy it back from the guy. You hear what's going on here? Similar to over here. I sell you a field, I don't own it. Mamish, I know a guy that did it. I think I said the story. A guy I'm very close to. I used to be very close to. He put a sign on the building, it said his name on it, and then he got an investor, he said, look, it says my name, it's my building, and he sold him the building. Maisa Shaya. It wasn't even his. That's what happened over here. This is the story. He sold him a field that didn't belong to him, but then he went and he purchased it from the guy, so it becomes the guy's field. It becomes the one he sold it to, Shaloi Kedin, it becomes his field. Why? The Torah Basra, you see, he tried to buy it from the first guy, Vizabna, and he was able. The reason why he purchased it is so that he could give it to the guy that he ripped off. But if it comes to him automatically, it just falls into his lap. He didn't do anything. He didn't try to get the field. He didn't try to make it right. It just happened to fall in his lap. Okay. Says the Gemara. So Rava says this doesn't work. You can't fool the guy. Yes, you told him that his own mother's going to be able to make him a cha and he's going to be without any money, but he himself can't do. That's too much of a trick. Amar Rami bar Chama. Ruvain shemochar soda l'shimin shloi b'achrayis. Okay, so I have a couple of charts here. Here we have with us, I don't know if you can see him on video, but we have Ben Schwartz with us. I didn't know he's coming today, but Givaldi. It works out great. Ben Schwartz, the dentist from the 5 towns, we had him throughout Yavamas, is the Malva. Let's just go through this real quickly. He's a Malva. He lends money to Yossi Klein from Muncie. Yossi Klein has a field. He has a house. He has some real estate. And he sells the house to Dan, the guy with the green suit. Now that he sells the house, he's taking responsibility on the house. But now he didn't take responsibility. He's talking about a case, shaloi b'achrayis. Typically when you sell a house, you take responsibility. There's no achrayis here. If somebody comes, in this case, the dentist comes and grabs the house from Dan has no option. He can't go back to the loiva. It's shaloi b'achrayis. I'm not taking any responsibility. Now, throwing out a case, if there was another guy, let's say he sold it to Levi, and the Malva goes and takes it from Levi. So Levi has an achrayis. Let's go back for a second. Let's say Dan goes ahead and sells the house with a responsibility to Levi. He got it, shaloi responsibility, but he's selling it with a responsibility. What happened there? No, this way. Sorry. This way. Comes the Malva and takes the house away from Levi. In this case, Levi could go after Dan. Why? Because he bought it from Dan with responsibility. Now, what happens? Instead of putting Levi in there, we put the chassid that sold him the house in the first place. You see what happens? It went from the guy in the Strymel to Dan without a responsibility. And then it went from Dan to the chassid back with an achrayis. If you put, instead of the chassid, you put Levi, Dr. Factor, then of course, Dan took a responsibility. I don't care how Dan got the house, he took responsibility. Over here, huh?
You say responsibility, you mean like a title?
Title's too complicated. Title insurance? That's what you're saying? No, responsibility, achrayis, that I could go after it. It's a guaranteed sale that if somebody comes and, it's like today in America, it's called title insurance. If somebody comes and grabs the house out of me, it's not my house. I could go after somebody. In America, you go after the title company. Over here, you're going after the seller. Let's see inside. So let's go all the way back here. Ruvain, I just started over here that there's a halva. Okay? Before the whole Gemara, you have to understand that the Malva lent money to the Leiva. And the Leiva owns a house, and he sells this house without any responsibility. Nobody can come after him. He knows that he owes money to the dentist, so he doesn't say anything. He says, listen, I'm going to sell you this house. Because if he sold it with an achrayas, then the malva could come and take it away from anybody could come take it away from Dan, and the labor would have to pay. Shloi b'achrayas. I'm not taking any responsibility. V'asa Shimon, now Shimon, this guy in the green, fell upon very hard times. He bought it, he's doing a terrible deal. He bought it without any responsibility, but he's selling it with full responsibility. He's taking full achrayas. V'asa Shimon u'machra l'ruvein b'achrayas. He sells it back to the guy he bought it from, be'achrayas. V'asa b'alchayv d'ruvein, v'kotarv le'minei, top of the tzadik beis Amud Aleph. Now, the Baal Chayv, Mr. Malva, comes and grabs the field away from, let's just go here. We spoke about this case. If Dan sells it back to Yossi Klein, and the Malva comes and takes it from Yossi Klein, listen what happens over here. Yossi Klein is not responsible. Yossi Klein could go back to Dan and says, you sold me a house. I don't have the house anymore. Why? Because the dentist took the house away from me. Well, it used to be yours last year. Too bad. I sold it to you without an achrayas, and you sold it to me with an achrayas. You took full responsibility on the house. I demand, says he's mchutzef. I demand you pay me back the full value of the house. Why? Because the person I owed $1 million to, the dentist, took the house away from me. And I bought it from you. I bought it from you, Mr. Green Suit. And you promised me you're going to take full responsibility. Take responsibility. Pay me for the house. Dinahu, Dazel Shimon, Umefatzile. Why? Because if Dan, what's the difference if Dan, the guy in the green suit, sells the house back to Yossi Klein, or he sells the house to Dr. Factor? It's the same thing. He took responsibility, takes responsibility. Shalom Yisrael. Rashi just points out, the Malva has a star that Yossi Klein owes him this money, the bag of money, before he sold the house. So predated the house. Memela, zchus is here. Says Rava, comes Rava again and says, no, we gotta save Dan with the green suit. You're right that Dan accepted upon himself full responsibility. If anybody comes and grabs the house, he didn't take responsibility that he himself owes money, this mechutzef, this guy with a shrimal owes money to somebody. He buys a house, and then he's going to come and make Dan pay for his chayv. That he didn't have any intent. That he didn't do, and therefore Dan doesn't have to pay him. By the Rava, Beruvein Shiyorash Sodom Yaakov. It's the same case, Rabbi Yisai. Here. Yossi Klein's father is a Rosh Yeshiva somewhere, and he owned the house. The house goes Birusha to Yossi Klein. Yossi Klein goes, sells the house to Dan. And then the Malva comes and grabs the house. So this is a little different. It's almost the same case, but Yossi Klein with the Strimel got his house from a Yerusha, and it's the father, you see it says Leiva by the father. The father is the one that borrowed money. So Yossi Klein is more like a random person that bought this field. It happens to be he got it from the guy that owes money. Yerusha. Let's go back. Let's do the steps together. Here. You have a loiv and a malva. You have the dentist who lent money to the Rosh Yeshiva. The Rosh Yeshiva owns a house. And then the house fell Yerusha to his son, Yossi Klein. And then he goes ahead, Yossi Klein sells it without any achrayas, without any responsibility to Shimon. Then he goes back and he sells it. I'm missing a step. Dan goes and sells it back to the person that sold it to him, but with the responsibility. He sells it back to, we have to put in a chart here. Should we do it now? No, we don't have time now. Okay, but you understand what's going on here. From Dan to the chassid back to him, just like in the case before. Comes the dentist and grabs the field not from like I just showed you, but from the chassid. In this case, it's different. Why? Do you know the Azal Shimon and Fatzal Minei? Shimon has to pay for it. Why? Over here, Rava doesn't say, oh, mechutzev, the guy in the shrine was a mechutzev. He didn't do a deal like that with Dan. Over here, yes. Why? Because it's not a personal thing between the guy in the shrine and Dan. It's between the guy in the shrine's father. It's another person involved there. My time, has nothing to do with the guy in the shrine. This was a loan. The dentist is going after the guy in the Hamburg, not after the guy in the shrine. And Dan took full responsibility. He says, I'm selling you a field, a house, without a achrayas. And now the guy with the shrine just lost his house. So Dan has to pay the guy in the shrine for the house. Yeah? Understood? Omar Rami Bar Choma. Ruvain Shemochar Sodel Shimon Bachrayas. These are very interesting cases. This is Mamish Shas Katim. We're going through Choshen Mishpat over here. Ruvain sells a field to Shimon. Bachrayas, with full responsibility. V'zokav olav b'milva. Great deal. Shimon doesn't have a penny to his name. He bought $1 million building in Manhattan. Doesn't have any money. So Reuven says, you know what? Let's make a deal. Over time, you'll pay me back a mortgage. Reuven, the seller, gives Shimon a mortgage. Shimon didn't pay a dime for the building, not one dime. Now he owes him money. He owes him $1 million, the value of the building. Shimon owes Reuven. Umeis Reuven, the seller dies. Reuven owed $1 million to somebody else. And somebody else comes and grabs the building away from Shimon, who never paid for the building. Well, Shimon realizes real estate is going up. He wants to hold on to this building. He says, how much does Reuven owe you? $1 million? Take $1 million in cash. Here, I want the building in Manhattan, you take the cash. Says the Gemara, Dinu da Amrile b'nei Reuven, the Yisraelim, the sons of Reuven, who never saw a cent from the sale. Their father sold the building and there was only money owed. Our father left by you, Shimon, a loan of $1 million. You owe our father $1 million. What is that? Liquid, you owe our father metaltalin. You had no business paying off our father's loan. What did you pay our father's loan with? With cash. We're Yisraelim. We don't have to give cash to loans. We said the other day, it's a mitzvah to pay off a father's loan. It's a mitzvah d'Rabbanan, and Rashi says it's not even a mitzvah like a lulav and a sukkah. He brings a lulav and sukkah. Yeah? But you, because you wanted the building in Manhattan, you went and you took $1 million cash, which we don't, if it was by us that $1 million, we wouldn't have to give it to our father's creditor. So why did you give it? So you know what? You owe us $1 million, and the $1 million you gave to that guy, you lost. Who owes the $1 million to Shimon? The dead man. Go collect it from the dead guy. We're not responsible for our dead father's loans. Here's what's going on here. Nachamo. Again, anybody? Raise your hand if you want to say it again. You're all embarrassed. You. Okay. Givalit. Thank you, Dr. Epstein. Reuven was alive. He owned a building in Manhattan. He sold it to Shimon. But Shimon never gave him a dime for it. Then Reuven dies. The creditors are going after Reuven's building. They want Reuven, before he died, he borrowed $1 million. They want the $1 million building. Shimon, who never paid for the building, doesn't want to give them the building. So what does he do? He says, I'll give you, instead of the building, I'll give you guys cash. So he gave him cash. Now, he comes to the Yisraelim and he says, I don't owe you a dime. I owed your father $1 million for the building. I took care of it. I gave the creditors $1 million. I gave the credit card companies $1 million. So they tell me you had no business paying the credit cards. Why? Because we don't have to pay the credit cards. Once the father dies, that's it. It's not our responsibility. So who told you to pay the credit cards? You pay the credit cards, that's your problem. You just lost $1 million. Now we want you to pay us for the building. Says Gemara, Omarov, Ipikeach idach, if the guy was very smart, Magbiluhu nahalayu ara. This guy Shimon who bought the property and he owes $1 million to the estate, you know what he could do? He could give them property. Another property, give them property. But because he bought it with a achrayis, with the responsibility, then he goes back to Yosef and says, listen, you have property now? You just got new property? I want that property back. That he could do. So we need a Rav Nachman to tell us that this works, because yes, you could go after Yisrael's property, but not if they got it after the death of their father. Over here we say you could. If the Yisraelim collected real estate after their father's death, yes, you could. It's as if they yarshened it. It's as if it was part of the Yerusha. He could also pay them and then take it back from them. Doesn't everybody know this trick? Rava gave this trick to everybody. So you see from here, Yisoid. To be a wise person, Pikeach, you don't have to invent tricks. You just have to know how to use them. They're available. The tricks are available. You just have to know when and how. But you don't have to be such a Pikeach to introduce this to the world. Omer Rabba. Ruvain Shemacha called Sadai Shimon. Ruvain sold all his fields to Shimon, says Rashi, in one shtar. It was one sale. So now Shimon, who bought everything off of Ruvain, becomes instead of Ruvain. In other words, if Ruvain owes money, who are the people going to come after? They were able to come to Ruvain because he had a lot of real estate. But he sold all his real estate in one shot. Now they come after Shimon. Shimon goes ahead and sells part of the real estate to Levi. Who do the creditors go after? Shimon or Levi? Well, depends what exactly he sold and how. He sold the Beinus. Now, if you owe money to somebody, that person can come after your fields. Which field could he come? Which real estate could he come after? The stuff in Manhattan or the stuff in Iowa? Or maybe the stuff in Brooklyn. He goes after the stuff in Brooklyn. The Beinus, not Iowa, which is Ziburis, not Manhattan, that's this. He goes after the medium stuff in Brooklyn. What he sold to Levi is the medium stuff, the Beinus. Today, I don't know, maybe Brooklyn is more, I don't know, the real estate market. I heard Manhattan's like ala panim today. They'll come back one day. When the get back in the government, they'll come back. Now I'm going to get it from all the Democrats. Spare the emails. I heard what you said. That's a kloa. Now, Shimon now doesn't have one field called Beinus. He doesn't have anything in Brooklyn. All he has is Manhattan and Iowa. But he doesn't, the middle guy went to Levi. Says the Gemara, Rotzim is goiva, Rotzim is goiva. He could either take the Beinus from Levi, or he could go after the Idis of Shimon. Says the Gemara, the Zabni Beinus. It's only in a case where he sold the Beinus to Levi, and we know about Chayiv goes after Beinus. So then he could go after Levi. But if Levi bought the two extremes, he bought the worst stuff in Iowa, or the best stuff in Manhattan, what do you think? I want to buy stuff in Iowa? I bought stuff in Iowa because I don't want the creditors to come after me. I want them to come after you. Says the Gemara, if a person has two Beinus, he has two houses in Brooklyn, Beinus, and the guy comes and says, I want to live on 13th Avenue. He says, no, I'm going to give you the stuff on 16th Avenue. He can decide which one. So here also, if Levi has one Beinus and Shimon has another Beinus, Levi could say, don't come to me, go to that guy. Take his field. They're both Beinus. Tzaddik Beis, Amud Beis, sponsored in honor of my uncle Reb Elchanan Pressman, zchus, for a year filled with mazel, bracha, Hatzlacha, and as a zchus to continue being able to support Torah, to finish us with Reb Eli, that's another sponsor. Fine. But if he left over another bein, go after Shimon, don't come to me, says Levi. Omar Abaya. Ruvain sells a field to Shimon with an achrayis, with a guarantee. That's a better word, guarantee. This is very interesting. A guy comes and is shepherding Shimon. Shimon bought the field from Ruvain. If it was by Ruvain, what would happen to this field? He would lose it to the credit card companies, to all the people he owes money to. But he sold it off to Shimon. The credit card companies are about to grab the field from Shimon. Comes Ruvain and says, listen, no. I want to invoke a shvuah here. I want to tell you that I already paid you back. He starts making them crazy. They look at him and they say, who are you? He says, I'm the original owner. We have nothing to do with you. We are dealing with Mr. Shimon, not with you. Who are you? Get out of here. No. Dino, the Azal Ruvain and Mefatzile, he could play games with them. And he can't say to them, who are you? We have nothing to do with you. We're dealing with Shimon, who owns the field today. Now we're going to do Bezer Hashem, this Taisus. Dino, the Azal Ruvain Mefatzile. All right, the Olam Chapt, fine. Because Ruvain is about Dvarim here. If the credit card company is able to remove the house away from Shimon, who's Shimon going to come after? Ruvain, the guy that sold it to him. So I'm stepping in right now. Let me deal with you guys. Let me tell you why you can't take it from Shimon. I'm his lawyer now. Some people say even if there's no responsibility, there's no guarantee, this I found fascinating. The fact that Ruvain doesn't want Shimon to be upset at him becomes a halach in Shulchan Aruch. This is not a nice thing to do, because if you come after me, you are going to come, Shimon is going to be upset at me, he's going to look at me funny in shul. That's enough reason for me to be able to step in here and take over the case. Let's go weiter, why not? There's no reason. The whole time I'm thinking about Menachem Atel. What is he going to do if I'm finished 4 minutes early? It never happened. V'amar Abaya. Ruvain shemachar sada l'Shimon. Another case. Ruvain sells a field to Shimon. Shemachar sada l'Shimon. Shaloi ba'achrayis, without any guarantee. V'yatzu alav asikin. Now we're talking about he sold. Sold is very loose over here. He didn't sell it. He didn't get any money for it. Nothing happened yet. They made up. They had a discussion. I'm selling. They shook hands on it, let's say. Whatever. There was just balpeh. But then people started schmoozing and talking in the street. Ruvain never owned this field. It's not his. Now Shimon is getting very nervous. He's about to do a deal with Ruvain, and there's already rumors about this field. If he never did a chazaka, he didn't change the locks, he didn't build a fence, he could take it back. But once he did something, that's it. Once so Rashi says, he owes the money once he puts a lock on there. Why? Why can't he take it back? Because the seller tells him, in English, I think there's a saying like, you bought a bag full of cats, something like that, right? Over here also, you bought a bag full of knots. It's even different. You can't even get into the bag. It's all knotty. You saw there's a bag. I don't know what's in the bag. You took it as is. You bought it as is. You bought my field as is. Now there's rumors on it. Your problem. Just the Gemara says, what's considered a chazaka? If they put like a little bit of dirt between the two fields and he stomped it down, that shows that he's the owner. Even if he took responsibility on the field, he cannot come after him. Shimon the buyer heard rumors that Reuven doesn't own it. He says, rumors are nothing. If somebody comes and grabs the field away from you, let's talk then. Meanwhile, there's no shtar, nobody came to you, nobody did anything. There's a couple of rumors. You have to deal with it. Have a wonderful day.